Welcome to Channeled Inspirations, the podcast with Lisa Dooley. I'm really excited about this podcast episode because it features a very special guest. This episode features a conversation that I had with my mom, my mommy dearest. And this conversation is not unlike most conversations we have. I'm blessed enough to have such an amazing mom who I consider honestly my best friend. I love her so much. And she's one of my greatest teachers. The conversations that her and I have together bring out certain teachings from within me that are so potent and so special. And I felt for a long time like that I wanted to share these conversations, that I wanted to record them and have them and use them as teachings because they're so potent. And somewhat recently, we were about to get into a conversation and I remembered I had that stroke of inspiration and I said, hold on, can I record this? And she said yes. So this episode is just our conversation after watching a spiritual program as we integrated what both of us took from the program and discussed it. And I'm sharing this in hopes that this helps you and inspires you. And I'm just so excited about this episode. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my mom, Donna. Okay, so we just watched David Icke, or Ick as I like to call him. And you are saying what?
He's suggesting that somebody's behind the matrix.
Yes.
So, but then he's also suggesting that we create our own reality. So if we're creating our own reality, and he's saying somebody created the matrix that's behind what we experience, then we must have created it.
Well, not necessarily. I think he's referring to the matrix that keeps the truth hidden from ourselves. So I think when he's saying he wants to find out who created the matrix, he's talking about the person that created the society and system that we live in today, not necessarily who created energy.
Well, not necessarily who created energy, but who's creating the actual experience that we have.
The people that are creating the experience are the people that are trying to control the experience through feeding us certain information.
Oh, I see. So they're just, but who would do that though?
The mainstream media, the government, the Illuminati.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like if we're creating our own reality, then we're kind of creating that as well.
Not necessarily. We're creating our own reality based on what energy we're tuning into. What's the problem, Henry? There you go. All your toys are out. So we create our own reality based on what energy we tune into. All energies exist regardless. But what we choose to focus on, what energy we choose to dwell on, is what perpetuates in our life. So if I choose not to focus on, or if I choose to live in a different reality, I know Henry's right here, he's snacking on his loudest toy, the water bottle. What am I saying? So if all realities exist, we create our own realities based on what we tune into.
Right.
So I can tune into a reality where I am handed money every single day, just for living my life, and that could be something that happens, but it doesn't mean that there's not a reality where people need to work extremely hard to make their money. It's just that I'm not tuned into that, so that's not what I'm experiencing.
So, but him saying the Matrix is kind of like a separate thing in a way from us creating our own reality. It's like almost an underlying um, musical note going through.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it that way. I think it's the Matrix. It's the 3D Matrix, the hologram, the.
So it's not our whole reality. Like the Matrix wouldn't be our whole reality. The Matrix would just be one underlying force that we could or could not experience, maybe. No?
No, the Matrix is the hologram. So the hologram is controlled through our brains. Our brains see things, interpret them, and then create the hologram around us. So the way people control the masses through the Matrix is through feeding certain information that holds certain frequency
Right.
into the masses, i.e.,
like through TV or
through the news.
Yeah.
So the news, no matter what station, no matter what allegiance you have, the general frequency is fear-based. So through portraying the world in a certain way on the television screen, us as individual humans see it, perceive it, and then create the matrix around us based on that information. So we're continuing to create the matrix, like the holographic reality,
right,
in every moment based on what we're tuning into, what we're picking up, and what frequency we want to dwell in.
So we have the option of ignoring that underlying influence, like that he's saying.
Kind of. I mean, I don't think ignoring is the best frame to put it in, because
Right.
ignoring is a little like spiritual bypassing,
Right,
and
but like whatever we're being fed,
we can choose not to eat it.
Right. It's like versus our own creating of our own reality. It's
Exactly.
Almost like, okay.
Exactly. You can either be a sheep and watch the news every day, work really hard 9 to 5, struggle, just scrape by, because that's the reality that most common for us in the 3D.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to break free of the matrix,
right,
and go your own way. Those are the people that are looked at as like aliens, as black sheep, as
right, like the oddballs.
The oddballs, exactly. The ones going their own way, the ones walking their own path, the ones creating their own reality based on their heart's desires.
Say like, woohoo, those people
exactly.
Out there. Yeah.
But they're just living the way that they are meant to.
Yeah.
Based on what they want instead of what society tells us to want.
So who do you think he's going to say are the ones that are behind it, which he says he's going to address?
The darker forces of the world that the spiritual community so often likes to ignore. So many people are focused on light, which is great. That should be where the focus is, but that doesn't mean ignoring the polarity of it, because we're living in this matrix, this reality that does have polarities. That's how we get to experience things.
Yeah.
That's how we get to experience ourselves.
Yeah. I see what you mean. But I just find it so interesting. It almost like fights with me a little bit that there's those two issues.
Fights how?
Like, just the fact that, like, it almost hit me funny when he said it. Like, oh, I mean, obviously I always believe you create your own reality, but then, like, there's this backdrop of sinister things being fed in. So if we're creating our own reality, why did we create that? We must have co-created that.
Well, because it's an aspect of the whole. So we're all one. We are all energy. But energy can't exist in just one state. It needs balance. So the light and the dark both exist. They're all one thing. So, like, if you want to look at it through the lens of God and look at angels and demons, it can also be perceived as
a yin and yang of
it's
black
yin and
and
yang,
white,
but also
yeah.
it's how it's perceived, because there can be good forces disguised as demons.
Right.
Like something can
Right.
happen that's for my highest good, but can feel like a demon did it to me, or a demon attacked
Right,
me.
of course.
So in that
yeah.
instance, it's light disguised as dark. But then there's also dark disguised as light.
Right.
It's all perception, and we're all playing every part, and it's all just an experience of the one whole energetic force.
Okay, that makes a little more sense now, I think. But it took me a little bit to kind of figure out like why he was saying that, and why like they almost seemed like two totally separate things that almost didn't go together, or couldn't exist in the same time.
Because it's polarities. It's the polarities of the same exact thing, that yes, we're in control here, we create our own reality, or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The choice is yours. You either claim your power and own it and see yourself as a creator and see yourself as an embodiment of this beautiful, energetic, limitless force, or you give your power away and say, I'm just a human being in this world, and the world is the way it is, and I have to live in it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I see what you mean. Sometimes it takes me a while to digest.
It takes everybody time to digest. It's not like anybody ever sees something new and immediately can integrate and embody it.
Yeah.
It's a matter of taking in that information, sitting with it, and letting it land, letting it sink in, and then
I think
becoming it.
Sitting with it is good, and talking it out too always helps. Because sometimes I need a little more clarification, But this guy is good. I like what he's saying.
Yeah, highly recommend. David
Icke.
I almost said ick again.